Hi there, welcome to another Team Clueless Battle Report. Today we have a special narrative scenario that we're going to be playing. It's called Eldar Evacuation. Now the table here is representative of a bit of a city on an Eldar craft world. Now I'm unsure whether craft worlds have grass, but this one does. It's kind of like a bit of a parkland, a nice, peaceful, tranquil Eldar place, as you imagine they would be. Demons are going to start warping in all over the table, and the Eldar have got to evacuate their civilians. Each of these towers you see on the board has Eldar civilians in. So there's 10 in each of the smaller ones, and there are 20 in the big one. Other useful things on the board are there is a warning rune up here, which Paul's going to need to guide his Eldar to warn the rest of the craft world about the demon attack. This avatar model down here, if I get nice and close, you see he's lovelily painted. He is at the moment just a statue of the avatar. During the game, Paul needs to get one of his Exarchs to that, and then if at the start of one of his turns he has an Exarch in base-to-base contact, the Exarch gets sacrificed and the avatar will wake up and start striding around the battlefield killing stuff. Over here, up against the wall, is the webway portal. If at the start of any of Paul's turns he has civilians, or any other units if he really wants to run them away, within 6 inches of that, they can escape through the webway, and thus I don't get to kill them with my demon army. So that's the battlefield. Now let's go through the rules. This could take a couple of moments. Firstly, victory conditions. If you saw a battle report we did a few weeks ago about Tyranids attacking, it's a similar victory condition style to that. We have a points limit we're trying to get to, and there are different ways of gaining points. So Paul, as the Eldar player, needs to get to 20 points for victory, but there are different things he can do to earn these points. So for every 5 Eldar civilians that he manages to evacuate, he gains 2 points. If at the end of a turn, one of his turns, the avatar is awake, he gains 1 point. So for every turn the avatar is awake, he gains an additional point. At the start of each Eldar turn, if there are no Greater Daemons on the table, he gains a point then. If at the end of any Eldar turn there are no Greater Daemons on the table, he gains a point. If at the start of each Eldar turn, if he is controlling with a troop choice or another scoring unit, the rune in the centre, he gains a point that way, and he gains +1 point if he kills Be'lakor, who's my warlord. So that's the way the Eldar gain points. Now the demons, we don't need to get as many points, but our points are a lot harder to get. The demons only need to get 5 points for victory. The way we gain points are, if at the start of one of the demon turns there is a demon in base-to-base contact with the webway portal. That means things have gone a bit peak-tong for Paul, as there are demons in between the escaping civilians and the webway. So I gain a point if that happens. If I kill Paul's warlord, who's your warlord? Morgan Ra, because apparently he's got hatred demons, is Paul's warlord. So if I kill him, I gain a victory point. I gain +1 victory point if I kill the avatar. So Paul has to have woken him up before I can get to kill him, but that will gain me a point if I do. Before he's woken up, I get to try and control the avatar statue as if it were an objective. If I do, I gain a point at the start of each of my turns that I'm in control. I gain +1 point at the end of every turn that 10 Eldar civilians have been killed. So if 10 civilians are killed in any turn, I gain a point. And lastly, I gain +1 victory point at the start of a turn if Paul doesn't occupy at least 3 sections of the table. Now, I need to quickly go over what the sections of the table are. The table is divided up into 6 different sections. So obviously, there, and there. So 2-foot sections. We use those because the demons are going to randomly arrive around the battlefield. So a few other rules, I'm nearly there, I promise, are the Eldar towers. These small ones are armor 12, and the big one over there is armor 13. But they have a special rule that means you get -2 on the damage table, because basically we don't want them blowing up and killing all the civilians. That's a bit easy for me to do with my monstrous creatures, so it's highly unlikely they'll ever blow up. But when you damage them, the civilians inside will take some casualties, so that's the idea in that. Other things, civilians have a special rule that basically means they're all independent characters, so Paul can join lots of them to his other units. They automatically pass lookout sirs. If they ever break, though, they can scatter in random directions and run around, and they get negative leadership if they're not in a unit with people who aren't civilians. Other stuff, so I've gone through the webway portal. I've done the towers. Dead Guardians. At the start of every one of Paul's Eldar turns, he rolls a d6 and he gets to generate spirit warriors near his psychers on the table. Basically, he's waking up some of the spirit defenders of the craft world. He can spend a point out of that d6 to wake up a Wraith Guard or a Wraith Blade. He can spend 3 points to wake up a Wraith Lord. And if he had a Wraith... what's the big one called? A Wraith Knight. If he had a Wraith Knight model, which he doesn't have today, he could spend 6 points to wake that up. So they generate near the psychers that are on the table, but they can't assault that turn, but they can shoot. I've gone through waking up the avatar there. Other stuff, he's got 400. He's got a 400-point unit of Harlequins, which are a relief force that are going to come through the webway. Anytime after turn 3, he can choose to have them arrive at the start of their turn, and he is allowed to assault with them the turn they arrive, but they have to come through the portal at the back. And Demon special rules, Be'lakor. He counts as an icon of chaos this game, so if other demons are arriving close to him, they scatter less. And he also gets to re-roll 1 dice per turn for choosing where on the table demons arrive. So the last thing to do is quickly tell you about how the demons arrive. At the start of each turn, I have a selection of tables to roll on, which basically gives me 1 Greater Demon, or possibly a Demon Prince, gives me 2 troop choices, and then 1 each of fast attack, heavy support, and elite. And then I roll a d6 and see which area of the table they arrive in via deep strike. And them's the rules. Hope you're still with us. Let's go on to see what armies we bought today. Okay, so I'm playing demons today, and I have basically random models arriving each turn. So my army consists of, at the moment, 1 Be'lakor, who is my general. But I've got loads of demons up on the shelf ready to deploy. Let's see what Paul's bought.
Okay, as the Eldar player, I get quite a lot more models to start with, as you can see. So, realising that their craft world was about to be attacked by demons, the Farseers foresaw a great need and have called on a Phoenix Lord in the form of Morgan Ra to lead them in this evacuation effort. He will be my warlord. Also in my HQ slot I have a Farseer. He has picked up Guide, Perfect Timing and Prescience for psychic powers. And he has a Warlock Council of 2 Warlocks. This one here who has picked up Conceal and Reveal. And this one here who has picked up Destructor and Renewer. As you can see, they're both leading a squad of 10 Guardians, equipped with a Scatter Laser heavy weapon platform. Rounding out my troops choices, I have a unit of Dire Avengers led by an unupgraded Exarch. And each of those troop choices has a Wave Serpent armed with Scatter Lasers and Shuriken Cannons. Decided to break with tradition and not take Holofields today, just because the demons don't have very many shooting attacks and because points were really tight after I took my expensive Phoenix Lord. These will be operating taxi service for any civilians wishing to leave the area. For Aspect Warriors, I have filled up my fast attack choices, so I've got a unit of Warp Spiders led by an unupgraded Exarch, and a more different unit of Warp Spiders led by an unupgraded Exarch, and a unit of Swooping Hawks led up by an unupgraded Exarch. Obviously, one of these Exarchs is going to be taking it for the team to wake up the Avatar, so I didn't feel I should spend any extra points making them any better. We've also called to aid from the Harlequins. In fact, the craft world sent out one of its spirit seers into the webway to try and find them. He's managed to pick them up, and he's donned the mantle of the Laughing God, and is now heading back to the craft world with 15 Harlequins split over 2 squads, and hopefully they'll come to rescue us, which is when we need it most. The squads are unupgraded, apart from each squad has a Death Jester. So that's all my stuff. Let's see if it's enough to get those 4 civilians off the table.
So, demons get the first turn. I suppose I should actually do how Paul set up. So the way it worked was Paul had to set up his models first. So he'd set up 3 wave serpents around here next to their respective towers. When civilians get out of the tower, they obviously can't disembark and embark in the same turn, so they have to get out, and then next turn they would embark on the wave serpents if that's Paul's plan. You can see the dice on top of each of the towers represents how many civilians are still inside. We do have civilian models available when needed. They may look a little bit like Dark Elves. He'd covered the centre of the board. He had his large unit of Dire Avengers here with both Morgan Ra and his Farseer in it. He had set up his Swooping Hawks down here, 2 squads of Warp Spiders behind them. Remember that the Avatar is still a statue at the moment, so he'd got all his Exarchs surrounding it, so he had multiple choices of what to use. There was a Guardian squad in the forest there, and the Guardian squad guarding the base of the webway. So I rolled to see what I got this turn, and unfortunately I rolled on the... You first of all rolled to see if a Greater Demon arrives, and I didn't. I only got a Herald this turn, but it does give me a 1 in 6 chance that I might gain Fate Weaver next turn, so fingers crossed. You can only gain Fate Weaver a turn after you gain a Herald as a bit of a balance factor. So other units I did get. So I got a Herald. It arrived with a unit of 5 Flamers of Tzeentch. I was a little daring in my deployment. I put it in between the 2 squads of Guardians, and then I'm about an inch over not hitting one of Paul's models, but they landed there. And they managed to flamer this Guardian squad, but the heavy weapon platform in the centre managed to make quite a few saves, which reduced the damage I could have dealt to them. I mishapped a unit of 5 Seekers. Basically, when I roll on the tables, they're all obviously the units that I own, so I only own 5 of these. So they're on the tables, there are weak choices and strong choices, depending on which models I have. So this was quite a weak choice. I mishapped on the table, and Paul got to place them, so he placed them here within Dakka range of his whole army. I ran them back here, but couldn't quite get behind the hill. I got a unit of 5 Pink Horrors. They came down there, and they shot up the Swooping Hawks with their guns, but unfortunately I rolled atrociously to hit and only managed to kill a couple of them. I also got a Skull Cannon of Khorne. The only time you ever see this on the table is when somebody randomly rolls it. He arrived there, and he fired over, and he managed to take out the Exarch of the Swooping Hawks and another member of their squad, which is quite nice. If I can whittle down Paul's Exarchs before the start of turn 2, he won't have any to awaken the Avatar. That's a big boon for me. Be'lakor doesn't need to roll randomly till he arrives in this game, so I deployed him down here, and he managed to cast Puppet Master on the Wave Serpent, and I passed my check, and Paul failed his deny wedge, and then I failed to hit, which was quite bad. And we have one large squad of Demonettes here. They deployed next to Be'lakor, and they have a bolt power, which the champion of the squad rolled up, a strength 8 bolt, which I managed to hit the Wave Serpent in the back with, but I only got a glancing hit. And that was the extent of my turn. Let's see what Paul does in retaliation. Remember, whatever he kills, I just get more units next turn. So, that's the way to play if you're a demon.
Okay, Eldar, turn 1. Calling upon the spirits of the dead brethren, the Farseer has awakened a Wraith Lord. The Wraith Lord has come down with a scatter laser and an Eldar missile launcher, and is threatening the battlefield. We moved out quite a lot of our civilians. These guys jumped out behind this Wave Serpent looking to pile in. This Wave Serpent backed the heck up from the Demon army, although as you can see later in the turn that became unnecessary. And this Wave Serpent parked up behind the big tower, and we got 12 of the guys out over there. The back 2 towers were relatively... hardly any demons came down over here, so they all just ran out. And they're running on foot with no taxi service, which they're probably complaining bitterly about. So the only towers with people in are... This one's still got 8 in, and that one's still got all 10 in. So shooting phase was pretty effective. We moved these Warp Spiders back to make sure we took care of the Herald and his Flamers. And between them and the 2 remnants of the 2 Guardian squads, we managed to finish all them off because his book had actually given him a negative to his invulnerable save rather than a positive. These Warp Spiders were sent to dispatch the Seekers of Slaanesh, which they promptly did. And then other units all turned their firepower on this base that Be'lakor had managed to establish. Between 2 Wave Serpents and the Wraith Lord, we took down a big unit of Demonettes. And then this Wave Serpent got extremely lucky and managed to get a penetrating hit with its wave on the cannon and destroyed the cannon. Oh, I haven't actually fired Morgan Ra. Can Morgan Ra see Be'lakor?
I don't think so. He was one of the things I was hiding from.
Morgan Ra has got Be'lakor in his sights. If he sees so much as a hint of a wing, he's opening fire. So Be'lakor's the only demon on the table, but there's still loads more waiting in the warp to come in. Let's see what happens in turn 2.
Okay, so it is demon turn 2. So first of all, I rolled to see what arrives this turn. So as I said, the tables I get to roll on. I rolled on the Greater Demon table, and this turn I got a Keeper of Secrets. He dropped in over here and he Psychic Screamed. I got good powers on him. I got Puppet Master, Psychic Screech, and Dominate, I believe. Terrify even. So drop down over here. Obviously can't use the Maledictions this turn, but I've got a bit of protection with this nice bit of cover in front. And he got 2 Greater Gifts, which have given him +1 wound, it will not die, and he's got reroll invulnerable saves. So he's looking pretty boss down there. I'm quite happy he's near the webway. I had to use Be'lakor's reroll where demons arrive special power to get him over here, though, because everything I rolled arrived over in number 5 in that quadrant. So he rolled there. He cast his Psychic Screech. I needed to kill one of these guys at the time. Unfortunately, they passed their leadership check on 3d6 and none of them died. other stuff that arrived. So basically everything else I rolled, other than one other unit, arrived in this quarter, which I had to roll a 5 on a d6 to get. So I got the 5 flamers again, which was really nice. They came down there. Paul had gotten out 10 civilians last turn. I plonked them down there, and I managed to hit 9 of them, killing them outright, which was really good. I also got a squad of 15 pink horrors this turn, which is nice. It gives me some more shooting, but unfortunately they were dumped into number 5 as well. But the useful thing was I used the banner that they come with to accurately deep strike in the flamers, which was good. Then I rolled number 5 again, and I got a Seeker Chariot, which was not a good roll. Each of the charts, the fast attack, the elite, the heavy, and the troops and such, has one unit of each god on it, and unfortunately the Slaanesh choice in the heavy support is not an expensive or particularly good model in this situation. But he deep struck in there, again using the banner as an accurate guider, although it does scatter a little bit. I also got 5 Seekers of Slaanesh. They deployed at the very corner of Quadrant 5, because I was all in Quadrant 5, and they managed to run into the forest to get them a bit of cover. Be'lakor cast invisibility on himself and hopped forward to stick his toe in terrain, giving him a 2-up cover save. He then cast Puppet Master on the Wave Serpent over there. Because I'd killed 9 of Paul's civilians, I only get a point, victory point, towards my total of 5 needed if I kill 10 in a turn. So I really had to get 1 more. Because I'd failed to get the one down there with the Keeper of Secrets, I had to use Puppet Master to get it. So I Puppet Mastered this Wave Serpent, and it shot behind it and managed to take out, I think, 4 or 5 of these guys.
Well, I've got 12 out. How many are there?
Yeah, so I killed 5 of them. So they got toasted, but Paul made his leadership check, which is quite nice for him. When civilians, if they're not with any other model, because they're all independent characters, they're a big squad of independent characters, when they fail break checks, they run in random directions screaming like civilians would do. So he was really scared that if he had broken with that unit, they'd all split up and head towards the edge of the board, possibly. So that was a pretty nice roll for Paul. And his single civilian over here failed his leadership check, but he ran towards the Avatar, who's about to wake up and make him fearless. So that was quite good for Paul there. The last thing I tried to do was I fired the pink horrors. They'd get 46 strength 4 shots at the back of a Wave Serpent. Unfortunately, I failed to cast the power, which was not good. And the Warpstorm table was becalmed this turn. So let's see if I can get some better stuff for next turn.
Eldar, turn 2. The Warlock down this end of the table called upon the power of the Wraiths to try and aid him against the Keeper of Secrets, which is lurking behind the tower over here. He called forth 2 Wraith Guard, who took a shot at the Lord of Change, but the Keeper of Secrets, but failed to do a wound. These swooping, I can't remember the name of anything. These warp spiders jumped over here, took some shots and managed to do some wounds to the Keeper of Secrets, and then ran and then used their warp generators to move back over to here again. And Morgan Ra, seeing a chance to try and sneak a kill on one of his hated foes, split-fired from the rest of his squad and took a shot at the Keeper of Secrets as well. We reduced the Keeper of Secrets to 1 wound. If it hadn't got the gift which gives it an extra wound, then we would have been destroyed. But that's on the table, so I won't be getting the point for clearing the table of Greater Daemons this round. Over here, the main threats were down in this part of the table. So I moved these warp spiders. They jumped over to in front of where the flamers were and annihilated them, and they jumped back. The Dire Avenger's Exarch gave his life to awaken the Avatar, whose mighty roar echoed across the battlefield. He strode forward and threw his spear into the chariot, destroying it utterly. The Dire Avengers moved forward, and a couple of them could take shots from the flamers, taking out the last flamer, so all the flamers were extinguished. But that meant we had precious little to attack these pink horrors with. We moved our swooping hawks forward. They threw a plasma grenade and shot their las blasters, doing a good amount of damage, but then 2 of their numbers were consumed by the explosion of the chariots, which was very unfortunate. We decided we needed to try and do something about Be'lakor because it's utterly ridiculous. So all 3 of the Wave Serpents fired all their guns at him. He's kind of at the confluence of a triangle of serpenty goodness. We managed to ground him, but did no damage at all. We managed to get some twin-linked hits with the scatter lasers, which gave us twin-linked wave hit shots, which ignored the fact he was stealth enshrouded, but it wasn't enough to overcome his invulnerable save. Most embarrassing of the turn was the assault phase. the Wraith Lord charged forwards, intending to put an end to these screamers, seekers. He shot into them with his flamer and a scatter laser, killing 3, and then charged into the remaining 2, which probably cut him down with their rending attacks. Very nasty. What a waste of a Wraith Lord. And over here, we really needed to kill the squad of 5 plague bearers, which were trying to threaten the gate. So we fired this Guardian squad and this Guardian squad, reducing their numbers to 1. And then this Guardian squad charged into combat. They were promptly missed with all of their attacks. The plague bearer scored a kill on a Guardian. They failed their leadership check and are now running. So that's more power to Bellacor's elbow. So I don't think I scored any points that turn. I scored 1 for continuing to hold the warning beacon in the middle of the table. So yep. I'm now up to 3.
And you score 1 at the end because the avatar is alive and on the table at the end of your turn.
So that's me up to 4. Let's see what the demons can do on their turn 3.
Okay, so it's Demon turn 3, and I got some really good stuff on the board for this turn. So, firstly, I got 5 pink horrors as one of the small troop choices, but unfortunately they scattered onto Paul's models and then got destroyed in the mishap. We got a Great Uncle Nurgle down here. He has arrived this turn. He didn't roll very well on his 3 biomancy powers. I tried to drop him down here because he had 2 of the rubbish range attacks. I've only got 12 inches, but he scattered back and was not in range of any enemies. I got a giant squad of 6 Fiends of Slaanesh, which are really nice, so they've moved up to threaten the central areas. They're quite good versus an avatar. I also got a squad of 15 Demonettes of Slaanesh, so they managed to do deep strike in here and have run to scatter about. I got a unit of 6 Screamers. They flew round in a nice arc and managed to kill, I think, 2 or 3 of the Warp Spiders. I was trying to whittle down Paul's firepower in this area. What else happened? Oh, and the Soul Grinder of Nurgle came in over there with a phlegm power. So he fired over here and put a big blob straight on top of a load of civilians. Paul had a bit of a cover save due to intervening models, and he rolled really well on his cover saves, and I think only killed 4 of the civilians. I hit 9 of them, so I was really hoping to get a large total up there. But Mr. Keeper of Secrets made up for it. He charged around from behind his cover behind the Eldar Tower, engaged a squad of 10 civilians, killed 5 of them, then swept the other 5 in at the clean-up step, and then moved backwards and gained a win back due to It Will Not Die. So he was doing really good work this turn. Back down this end of the board, the Pink Horrors fired their psychic power at these Warp Spiders, but only managed to kill 2 of them, maybe even 1 of them.
1.
The 2 Seekers of Slaanesh over here, which had ably felled a Wraith Lord last turn, could not scratch the hull of the Wave Serpent they managed to charge. So civilian-wise, there are still 10 civilians in this building. There are 8 civilians in this building and 7 civilians in the Wave Serpent. And then I've killed the 10 that came out of that building, and there are the remains of the 10 down here. There are 7 there. Victory points-wise, unfortunately, Paul is up to 5 now because he killed Bellacor. Similar to Paul's charging and dying tactic, Bellacor hopped over here and engaged the bottom of the Dire Avenger squad. I was hoping to pull them down from their objective so that I could lock them there so he wasn't gaining points. I was invisible, so I thought I was reasonably safe, but I'd forgotten that he had cast Guide last turn. So when I charged him for Overwatch, he got to re-roll all his hits and managed to take a couple of wounds off me. And then in combat, his Farseer's Fleshbane weapon, because I challenged out Morgan Ra, his Farseer's Fleshbane weapon managed to deal 2 wounds to me due to the hatred that Morgan Ra gives them. Paul chose the demon hunting Phoenix Lord for a reason, and I failed 2 saves extra, and the lovely Bellacor is no more, gaining Paul a point, and meaning I've lost quite a powerful model, which was doing a good job at controlling this end of the battlefield. So that is the state of play at the end of my turn 3.
Eldar turn 3, the heroic intervention of the Harlequins. Harlequins came bursting out the way portal from over here and over here, and the spirits here that have been sent to fetch them has also returned wearing the mantle of the Laughing God. Before fleeing the battlefield, the warlocks summoned up a another Wraith Lord, and then fled off the table. We managed to get some civilians through the portal, which was worth victory points. And then in our shooting phase, things went very nicely. Thank you very much. So we also summoned 2 more Wraith Guards. So these 2 Wraith Guards came and had a shot on the Keeper of Secrets and managed to get an instant death result by rolling a 6 to wound, meaning it was destroyed regardless of its wounds. This freed up everything else that was around here to concentrate on other threats. So as you can see, the Harlequins and the Warp Spiders have together whittled that unit of Screamers down to just a single Screamer. Over here, Harlequins shooting and the Wraith Lord opening fire with its double flamers, plus some other shooting from
Guardians.
These Guardians in the bushes managed to reduce the Demonettes to just 2. These Warp Spiders and the Dire Avengers managed to reduce the Fiends down to 3, and the Avatar ran in and smashed another one. The Wave Serpent over here managed to put 2 wounds on the Great Unclean one.
Yep.
This Wave Serpent was actually the most heroic of the game. He managed to get some cheeky rear armour shots on the Soul Grinder that was there, and managed to get penetrating hits which destroyed the Soul Grinder, which was a real result, because that thing's very scary indeed. The Swooping Hawks are coming in against this Seekers and managed to kill one of them, but didn't manage to kill the other. We've got some more civilians who want to get in this Wave Serpent. Something shot these.
The Wave Serpent.
Oh, the Wave Serpent took down 4 more Pink Horrors for reducing their effectiveness. And I think that was it. All in all, a pretty effective turn. So the scores at the end of turn 3 are 9 out of 20 for the Eldar, and 3 out of 5 for the Chaos Daemons. So the Eldar nearly halfway, the Chaos Demons slightly over halfway.
One other thing you did, you killed the one Plague Bearer.
Oh yes,
there.
The one Plague Bearer died to my second unit of Wraith Guard, which was very handy. So before the next wave of demons arrive, we've got a Screamer, a Great Unclean One, 2 Fiends, a Seeker, and a unit of Pink Horrors to contend with. But there's another wave incoming.
Demon turn 4. So what arrived this turn? We had 3 plague drones arrive. They mishapped trying to land over there near the civilians that are on the board, and Paul placed them in this very corner, and I have then jumped forwards. The Pink Horrors moved sideways and shot up and killed 4 of the civilians that they could see. Over here, the Great Unclean One moved forward and joined the 2 Fiends in combat with the Avatar. Firstly, I cast Enfeeble on the Avatar, but it down to toughness 5. Then I moved in and smash attacked him with strength 10, and only got 1 hit through, but Paul failed his invulnerable save, and off the Avatar went. So VP to me, and Paul is not gaining 1 for the Avatar every turn, so really, really good move there. I took 1 wound in return, so I've got 3 wounds left on my Great Unclean One. I had another giant squad of Demonettes arrive. They deep struck in and spread out into starburst pattern, so the Wraith Lord won't flamer them to death. We had 2 Demonettes here which just hid in the forest. Over here, a load of Tzitzit stuff arrived. So hiding behind there, you'll see a little old model of a Lord of Change. He arrived in the air. He fired some shots down and took out a couple of Warp Spiders. The 5 Pink Horrors over there, they attempted to shoot the Warp Spiders, but they denied the Witch. And this guy, because I couldn't be bothered to go and find the proper model, is a Burning Chariot of Tzitzit. We play it so they have Relentless, because it makes them actually semi-usable. It dropped down and fired its D3 las cannon shots over at the Wave Serpent. I got 1 penetrating hit through, stops it from shooting this turn. So not bad, not brilliant. I was really hoping to blow it up for civilians, because I managed to kill 5 of the civilians over there after charging in with my remaining Seeker of Slaanesh, and then the civilians clumped round and beat it round the face. So it died also. The most effective thing I had this turn was Glorious Rot on the Demonic Instability table, on the Demonic Walkstorm table. What did that do? It did 2 hull points to my Burning Chariot, which wasn't good, but then it stuck 6 hits on the Spirit Seer with the Walking Mantle, and because it ignores cover, it went straight through and happily butchered him. It took out 5 of the 6 Guardians that were hiding in this forest, and it also killed the 2 Swooping Hawks that were there. So Nurgle was in charge this round, along with his great uncle there. So a good round for Demons overall. I need 1 more VP to win.
Eldar turn 4. Quite a good turn for the Eldar. This Wave Serpent picked up some dudes, shimmied over here, and the rest of the people who are hiding in the big tower have come out, so he's going to hopefully pick up the rest of those dudes as well. Up in the middle of the table, we concentrated all firepower on the Great Unclean One. We had 2 new Wraith Guard join the party, and all these guys up on the hill, and then also these Warp Spiders, and we finally managed to bring down the remaining 2 wounds. These Harlequins shot up at the chariot and defeated it. These Warp Spiders and Wraith Guard tried to do some damage to the Lord of Change, but couldn't manage it. The damaged Wave Serpent just jetted forwards, so it's ready to either fly through the portal or gain or disgorge its troops, its civilians. We've got Harlequins and the Wraith Lord who managed. Oh, the Wraith Lord also shot at the Great and Clean one, and the Harlequins and this Wave Serpent managed to clean up those demonettes over there. I think that's everything that happened. Anything I'm missing?
Don't think so.
Okay, so Demons turn 5 coming up. The scores on the doors are 10 points to the Eldar, so halfway there, but 4 points to the Chaos Demons. They need one more point in order to win the game.
It is the start, or now the end, of Demon turn 5. Now, Paul and I get the start of this turn, but turn 5 will be the last turn of the game, as it is getting quite late in the evening, as this mission is horrendously complicated. So, a few things happened that are unimportant because we knew the game was going to end. I had some bloodletters arrive. They're a giant unit, so I couldn't squeeze them in over on the portal over there, so they wouldn't get to play any part of the game, so we didn't put them down, and we didn't do the plague bearers that arrived also, because that was unimportant. I did get some screamers arrive. Again, I mishapped because I was doing a daring do with them, so Paul put them in this corner. What else arrived this turn? Another Great Unclean one arrived. He came down over here, and along with the help from a Soul Grinder, because I took the Nurgle shooting powers on this guy, we managed to kill 7 of the 8 civilians who were out in the open there. I mean, I need to get 3 more this turn for the win, because killing 10 gives me 1 VP. Unfortunately, I didn't manage it, because over here, the Lord of Change decided the best way to get some civilians dead was to beat up this Wave Serpent. It has 7 of them inside it. So he landed there, he cast his Bolt of Change at it, but it only was strength 5, which wasn't so good. He then tried an 8-inch charge, failed it, so couldn't get to the Wave Serpent. I have a Beast of Nurgle there, just in case it could do something useful. If it was able to run, it would have been handy, but it couldn't, unfortunately. The Pink Horrors over there attempted to take out the Wraith Guard, because they're a danger to the Lord of Change, who had to come to the ground to be able to charge the Wave Serpent. I think that's everything of importance that happened that turn. As I say, we didn't do the stuff that was going to have no effect on the rest of the game, so that's where we're at the end of Demon turn 5. I have 4 VPs. We have decided that at the end of Paul's turn, obviously, if he doesn't win, there's a small chance he can, but not a big chance. We then have to count up and see who is closer in percentage terms to their needed victory total. So I think Paul needs to get 6 VPs.
Yeah, you've got 80%, so I need to have 16
Yep.
to draw you.
I think we'll give the Eldar the win if it's a draw, shall we? We'll say now. Okay, let's see what Paul can do on his last turn. It's going to be touch and go.
Okay, we had a really quick last Eldar turn because we worked out I can't actually catch up because I could get 2 points for getting the Wave Serpent off, which I did, and I got an extra point for controlling the Warning Beacon, which I've controlled all game. And then I could get a last point if I could kill both the Greater Demons. So the most I could get up to was 14, and I needed 16 to tie up the game.
You were 1 civilian off getting another 2 points.
Yeah.
There's 1 civilian in this transport.
There's 5 in there. There's 5 in
in
that
there
one and 1 in that
there.
one. So yeah, they needed to be making more progress towards the gates. But then I'd probably been overrun with demons if they weren't shooting. So
yeah, they're your main firepower as well as the transport option.
So we just quickly checked to see whether I could kill both the Greater Demons to see what the final score was going to be, and all those guys surrounding that Lord of Change. Lord of Change had landed to try and charge the Wave Serpent, so that was relatively straightforward. Over here, because we knew the last turn, these 2 Wave Serpents doubled back to try and take him out. We also got a new, rather spindly-looking Wraith Lord. Clearly all the good Wraith Lords have been woken up by this point. A Wraith Guard and Morgan Ra all shooting. Managed to do 5 wounds to him, but he's got 6 wounds. So the final scores were 13 points to me, which is a little under 3/4. But Mike managed to get up to 80% of his with 4 points. So Mike, the Chaos Demons win the game.
Yes.
This is an awesome battle, but it takes forever.
Yes, we didn't take, because all the demons you summon, you have to roll randomly for all different tables demons. They have to randomly arrive on the battlefield, and then they've all got random rewards and such.
Yeah.
So it took a good 20 minutes at the start of every demon turn just to find what was arriving. So that's an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, we played 6 hours and we've had 5 complete turns.
Yeah, I mean we had lunch and stuff, dinner and stuff in that, but that's still a long game.
Yeah, but it was really good fun, and I thought you completely captured the sort of
flavour.
What you were going for in terms of making it a sort of desperate evacuation. It certainly felt desperate from my position.
Yeah, because the Harlequins arrived, they really did relieve you that end of the board, and the
exactly
Avatar waking up was awesome. He strode around doing stuff, and the Fearless bubble was brilliant.
Absolutely, especially with the civilians' rubbish leadership score.
And the Wraith Guard and such.
Yeah, it all worked really well. I think the Force was. I quite like taking I quite liked taking a lot of infantry because like normally if we're playing a normal game, I feel
Much
the
more
tanks
interesting
the
than
same
flying
work so
around
good.
6 waves at
Yeah,
once, isn't it?
exactly.
Or a load of jet bikes with a Sear Star or something like that.
Yeah, so having all these infantry running around was great. I had a really good game.
Yeah, so there's a few tweaks I'm going to do to the rules, a couple of things on civilians to make them a little more.
I think you probably just need to
usable.
make it a bit more streamlined.
Yeah,
So maybe fewer points for Eldar and fewer rolls for the demons, just
yes, quite possibly.
to speed things up. Okay, other than that, great battle. I hope you
Yep.
enjoyed watching it at home. See you next time.
Bye.